Today on the Digital Investors Podcast, we are looking at why digital agencies are going to be so hot in 2026. So, if you're looking at getting into a side hustle, digital agencies are absolutely brilliant. You've probably heard me talk about that, particularly if you want to learn digital skills. But also, what's very exciting is we know a lot of our community members are interested or have a goal at some point in their lives to turn that side hustle into a seven-figure exit, like a multi-million dollar exit. So what I thought today was to help you all is I'm going to bring along the best expert I can think of and a great friend of mine, Greg, head of marketing from Empire Flippers. He's going to help answer for you today why digital agencies are so hot and why they can be a really good opportunity for those of you that want to do the big multi-million dollar exit. But from my point of view too, I want Greg to help us help you understand the opportunities with digital agencies and also the areas where you can really make some great gains, what he's seen. Because Greg, if you don't know who Greg is the head of marketing at Empire Flippers. He's a legend in the industry. He's been around for a long time. He's been involved in almost, what would it be, $500 million in online business sales. And he's helped make over 90 millionaires through helping them exit their businesses for millions of dollars. That's why he's on here today. But what's great about this is he has a broad range of very, very deep experience across all sorts of online businesses. So what he can do for us is bring in comparisons to other online businesses that you may be interested in. And I think if you're not already interested in digital agencies by the end of this by the end of this podcast, you will be. So, Greg, I want to say a big thank you for coming along today to the podcast.
That was such an amazing intro. You've made me realize I need to work on my intro skills. Thank you so much. It's good to be back, man. Always enjoy chatting.
And likewise, Greg, for our listeners, I'll put it in context too why I'm so excited about running today's webinar. Greg was kind enough to come along and give a private presentation on this topic to our members, to our private members. And what I wanted to do is get him to go through what he shared with our members publicly here on the Digital Investors Podcast, because it is so powerful. There is some really good lessons from someone like yourself, Greg, with all your experience out there, what you're seeing. So let's jump straight into it. What are you seeing with digital agencies, at this point in the marketplace?
Yeah, so I mean, we've always sold digital marketing agencies, but I think there is more interest that is happening. And like I said to your insider community, part of it is what I call full business funnel control. So people hear funnel like, oh, marketing funnel, but that's not exactly what I mean. That's part of it. But like if you look at an Amazon affiliate website or an Amazon FBA business, for example, they don't have full business funnel control because like with affiliate sites, you're usually pretty beholden to Google in terms of SEO traffic, not always, but often. With Amazon FBA, obviously you're pretty beholden to Amazon, whatever they want, right? That you gotta say yes
Yep.
to, and they don't give you your customer stuff, your customer data. Often it's gonna be a bit tricky to get that. So what we're seeing is a lot of buyers are becoming much more interested in businesses that do have this full funnel control. So like DDC
Nice.
commerce would have that, but so do marketing agencies. And as you go with these more, quote unquote, sophisticated business models, there's
Mhm.
often a lot more inefficiencies and like growth levers you can do in this business that you can't really do with, say, an affiliate site. Like with an affiliate site, for example, let's say you're selling, I don't know, something that comes in a cardboard box. You can't like redesign that cardboard box or redesign the packaging and shave off potentially tens of thousands of dollars in
No.
the cost of your product unit like you could if you owned the DTC e-commerce store. The same thing with agencies. Like you can't just like you would never hire a salesperson for first of all for an affiliate site, but let's say you have a
No.
salesperson at an agency, like you might be able to use AI, like acquire that agency and use AI to create a low level SDR that is like qualifying the leads. So your actual sales guy doesn't have to do that because they all hate that top of funnel work, right? And
Yep.
now they're just focused on people that the AI is already qualified, which opens up massive amounts of leverage. So I think right now that's part of it with all these big tech platforms, like people are like, man, I don't want to rely so much on that. But also the other thing is specifically for agencies more so than any other business model is I think through this era of AI we're going through, there's so much asymmetric growth you can do because out of all the ways you can use AI to like increase your business, I think the best business model for AI to really like pump up the numbers is service businesses. An agency is a service
Yes.
business. Like this is
It
a labor intensive business traditionally, and now with AI is like, well, not so much anymore. Like you can do a
Yep.
lot of crazy stuff with AI with agencies.
And so to put it in context too, Greg, we should mention to our listeners, right? Most of the buyers that you specialize with at Empire Flippers, they're typically in the 500,000 plus range, aren't they? And you're doing regularly seven-figure business deals, like in the millions as well. So we're not just talking. I just wanted to make it clear to our listeners the sorts of buyers you're talking about there. We're not just talking ma and pa buyers buying little
Yeah.
tiny businesses here. This is getting into the bigger side of things.
Yeah, I mean, we do have people on the lower end. We should probably talk about that. It's harder to sell. It's much harder to sell a lower end agency than like a lower end affiliate site,
Yep,
which we can get into why that is. But at the higher level, it becomes much easier because of the full
much
funnel thing. I
easier.
would say. But yeah, like we have buyers that range from fellow entrepreneurs, people just starting out on the lower end, all the way up to like private equity and family offices, and self-funded sponsors like we sold a an eight-figure deal to an international conglomerate. So like yeah, like a lot of people are getting in on this game. And I mean our buyer network, I think our buyer network currently is like over $14 billion of investable liquidity. So yeah, we probably have. I was talking to a guy last night. He's like, would you go reach out to the strategic potential buyers for my niche if I sold? Like, dude, they're probably already on our list. But
Yeah,
yeah, if we like, they're
yeah,
probably already there. Like, I'm always surprised. Like, wow, why are you here? How did you get on
yeah.
this? So yeah, it's we have some bigger players on our list for sure.
And so that's what you're seeing. So I just wanted to make that clear for our listeners that this is why it's so exciting, Greg. As you know, Greg's starting to see. This is what Greg's describing for our listeners is that these bigger buyers are becoming way more interested in digital agencies now for all the reasons that Greg just talked about. So let's now go to something you just said that's really interesting because as you know, when you spoke to our private community, we have a lot of go-getters in our community who are already into the digital agency strategy. And you just said something really interesting that we should definitely explore. How about we explore it right now, which
Sure.
is what you're seeing is it's harder to sell the smaller digital agencies, which I would suggest opens up some opportunities. But it's easier once they get bigger. Can you elaborate on that and what have you seen there?
Sure. So, so in general, like to zoom out a little bit,
Yep.
in the M&A world, a lot of like what is up is down in the M&A world,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
in the sense that like, the seller thinks I really need to be good at selling, but really it's the buyer that needs to be good at selling. Like you're the darling at the ball, so it's like a reverse. But
Yep.
with M&A too, like usually, and this is not true in all cases, but often, the bigger something is, the easier it becomes to sell. That tends to be like generally true. Now with agencies, they become easier to sell than say an affiliate site when they hit critical mass because they have all of the systems, all these processes, and they're not reliant on a single tech person, like or sorry, not tech person, tech company like Google, right? But the reason why agencies are really hard to sell on the low end typically is
Yep.
because if you are buying an agency that, and this is kind of the opportunity you were speaking to, if you want to take this risk, when you're buying a smaller agency, let's say it's like, I don't know, a $50,000 to $200,000 range. Like, so it's
Yep.
making anywhere between like maybe 2.5 grand to maybe like 8 grand or 9 grand a month, somewhere around there, right? A lot
Yep.
of the times, those profit margins are pretty good, but the reason why they're so good is because there's one person. So if there's only
Right.
one person, the value of that business becomes really, really hard. Like if those agency owners come to me, they're always like, I want a 4x. Like, dude, like even seven-figure agencies don't sell for 4x. Like, what are you talking
Yep.
about? There's just like no way that's gonna happen, right? So you're really buying a job in that case, but the opportunity can exist still in that you get the client books as long as like they're not the face of the business, which we can get into that type of stuff too. But
Yes. We can talk
like
about
you can still get that client book, and you can buy a client book for like 1 to 2x, right? So like
that.
you can just like get them in. And if you focus on like agencies are serving the clients that meet your current tech stack, I mean, it's pretty
Yep.
easy to integrate. And there's only one person. It's not like there's any culture or things you have to worry about. That guy's gone once you pay for it, right? Obviously, you want to still give him some kind of earn out because you don't want all those clients fleeing when he leaves if it truly is
Yeah,
relationship based. So that's like worrisome,
that's
right?
important.
But yeah, so that's why smaller agencies tend to be harder to sell because there's only like one person and the moat isn't as clear of like, who's going to be running this thing. A lot of times people don't want to buy a job, but if you're willing to buy the job, you can often get in for the deal like pretty easily. And with
And
the like with AI and everything, I do think there is an opportunity there, but it's harder to sell.
I'm going to reiterate that, Greg. Like, I think on the flip side of that, and we'll come to the bigger ones in a minute because everyone wants to hear about the bigger ones. But for our listeners, listen to what Greg said. This is the opportunity, guys. That these you just heard it from Greg. These smaller agencies are harder to sell, but for you guys that want to grow, they're easier to buy. And like you said, Greg, you just brought up some awesome points there. Like, it's not they can actually be easier to renovate and build up. So if you've got a bit of a budget, you could bolt a few of these together and build a bigger, or you could just grow your existing agency quicker. And we, as you know, we have clients that are doing exactly that. But I think that's the opportunity for buyers. Maybe they have to buy them privately. You're a broker, you don't want to hear that bit. But
Shame, shame. How dare
yeah,
you?
although you still sell the smaller ones on your platform, they just don't sell as
Yeah,
higher
no, yeah. I
higher
like some
multiple.
of those much smaller agencies, like we might put them over to Money Nomad just
Yeah,
because like the time it takes to sell. Like we're
perfect.
not saying like you can't sell it, right? Usually the reason why the seller can't sell those lower end is because what I already said, plus like bad seller expectations, because
Yeah.
like they
I
think they
do
want
want
a
to
4x
reiterate that
really it's
for our
not going to be
listeners.
high. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, isn't it? That's I know we're jumping around here a bit, but it's a good business lesson for beginners, I think, Greg. Can you just reiterate this? That's one of your would you say it's the biggest mistake you've seen with smaller sellers, the seller expectation thing?
I think that's the biggest mistake for all sellers at every size,
Okay. All
actually.
right.
I,
Yeah.
I always joke when I talk to my entrepreneur friends, look, thinking about selling their business with me, like I'm here to kill your dream so I can help you wake up and become rich. Like
Yeah.
you think it's worth 7 million. Trust me, I've sold 2,500 businesses. It's not. It's
Yep.
worth 4.5. Like you're still going to become a multimillionaire, man. Like
Yeah.
you're still going to
That's
be
cool.
incredibly rich and never have to work again, right?
Yep.
But it's just not worth that much.
And I
So
think I
yeah,
will jump in here again for our listeners. There's some really powerful lessons here. This is why, listeners, if you're thinking of selling, you need accurate advice. It's the one thing I
100%.
learned when I was in M&A. This is your life you're talking about. If some broker tells you the wrong thing and you're making life plans based around selling for 7 million, you're far, far better off going to Greg and getting the realistic price and knowing, like you just said, Greg, you're still going to become incredibly rich through it. But what's so important when you come to do that big exit is accurate advice. And this is why we've got Greg here today. Go and speak to Greg for goodness sake and get an accurate, because it is the biggest mistake, isn't it, Greg, that you see?
Yeah,
You've said that
100%.
on our other podcast when I interviewed you. It's seller expectation.
And so just for your audience, so they know, like, no, this is not just agencies, but like all SMBs, including
Yeah.
what's sold on EF, it's basically going to be the 1 to 4x SD is the typical range. Now,
Yep.
as a business gets bigger, that range grows, and sometimes the business model can affect it, and sometimes the niche. Like SaaS, they tend to have a wider range, right? Instead of 1 to 4x, maybe they're more like 3 to 6, right? Is going to
Okay.
be like
Yep.
the range that they're going to be in, right? Sometimes niche can really affect things heavily too, especially if there's a lot of demand. Like if you're going offline, like HVAC is really popular right now, stuff like that, right?
Oh, what's
Uh,
really popular right now?
HVAC, so like heating and plumbing and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Good niche.
uh,
It's a good one for you
yeah.
digital agency people
It
too, by
is.
the
It's a
way.
great one.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Uh, but yeah, so in general, that 1 to 4x range is always going to keep you safe. So if you
Yep.
go to a seller, like you follow what Matt's going to tell you to do to go find off these dirty off market agencies instead of using a
Private
broker.
deals, Greg.
Uh, if you go
Yeah.
and do that, and the seller's like, "Hey, I want 4x." you can tell them like, hey, look, most marketing agencies that make a lot more revenue than you do are going to sell about 2.5 or 2.8. Like we sold a $7 million agency just a bit ago. That was a 3.58. All right.
Okay.
So like even on the bigger side, that can still be underneath that 4x. So what I always tell my buyers to do is when a seller comes at you with this big multiple, you say, hey, that's great. That's really cool. I respect that. This is like what is normal. So could you tell me like why is your business like so exceptional that it deserves that? And
Mhm.
just be silent. And they're like, whoa, and like, well, maybe
Yep.
my business is not that exceptional after all, right? They'll start talking themselves down because they know it's not real.
Yeah.
So they'll start becoming more realistic just by you asking that question. Tell me why your business, like what justifies your business to have such a, to be so exceptional and it's multiple, you know? And maybe there's something really is exceptional. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, right? Like I have a buddy, his agency is making similar levels as the agency I just said that sold for 3.5. Like his agency will probably sell for like 4.5x. And because it
Okay.
is a genuinely exceptional agency because of the way he has his marketing and sales system set up. But yeah.
Okay. So what we'll do is, well, that leads me to the next point then. What's making the good, so say with your friend's agency and think of our clients. So that I guess let's break it into two phases. You've got our clients who are starting out as side hustlers. They build this up, they get it to hitting, like you mentioned, 2 grand a month to 10 grand a month. When we start to get up to 30 to 40 grand a month, is that when things get interesting? Is that a good first goal for our listeners?
Yes. So your first goal, getting up to $30,000 profit per month is amazing. Even more amazing is if you are not doing any of the fulfillment or sales yourself and you have like your own internal team. Because in general, $1 million business starts right around the 30 to $40,000 per month in profit. So like
Perfect.
that, like it's if you're just starting out, that sounds like, wow, that's crazy, 30 grand. It's really not. Like with the agency, that's like 30 clients.
Yeah.
And that's really hectic when you first begin. I'm not gonna, BS your audience on that. That can be pretty like
Yeah.
pulling
Yeah.
out my hair. But once you figure it out, like it's not that bad. Like the guy whose agency that was probably going to sell for the right around 5.5 or 6 million or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right around 5.5 or 6 million. Like he has only like 26 clients. Um,
Whoa.
yeah.
Nice one.
So it's not
So
like
does he
you
enjoy
need an
running that?
insane amount.
Is it like what like does he like running it and everything? Has it taken him long to grow it to those
Well,
26 clients?
he hired Grandpa Empire to help him like stop running it, so to prepare for an exit. So he like got me on to do like some exit planning for him about a year ago, and he was doing like a lot of hours. Now he barely does anything. He's like, dude, I'm kind of like bored. Like, yeah, because like that's great because you want to be the useless person in the team if you're going to sell the business, right?
That is
So like
cool.
it has allowed him to actually going through an exit planning process has allowed him to see like, oh, whoa, I didn't know. Like he just discovered all these leads that were sitting in his CRM he didn't know about because he was
Nice.
just always so busy doing all this other stuff. But after going through my like let's make you useless plan, like game plan, now he
Yeah.
actually has time to see this type of stuff, right?
Perfect.
But yeah.
So that's what adds a lot of value to an agency, just like any online business. But the more the owner can step back from the day to day, obviously it's going to be worth a lot more.
Yeah, so let's talk about like the big three basically. So,
Yep.
from a selling perspective, this can make you way more valuable. From the buyer perspective, if the agency doesn't have this type of stuff, this is part of your like dude, like you and I were just on my podcast where I talk about you were talking about due diligence. I talk about yeah, the better you're at due diligence, the lower
Yep.
offer you can make usually because you can justify it better, right? So
Yep.
if you're looking at buying an agency and it doesn't have these things that can help you justify getting that closer to that like 1.5x rather than like 2x to buy the business, right? So the big reasons why agencies typically don't sell well
Yep.
if they don't have these. And the first one is your acquisition system. So your acquisition system is like how do you get clients? Is it scalable? Is it repeatable? Is it a process?
Perfect.
Most agencies are all over the place. Like met this guy at a BNI, and then I was like walked into this convenience store. I was like, handing out cards, putting it in a gas station pump. Like
Yep.
dude, this is not an
Yep.
acquisition system, right?
That's a great way to get started for
Yes,
our like
absolutely.
that just gets
Absolutely.
runs on the board and it can get you to that 2 to 10 grand a month. That's fine then. But now we're talking listeners, like when you're getting
Yeah.
serious and you want to do the big exit, Greg is outlining the plan of where you need to be going to. So those of you who want to do that should be setting the goal. So point number one is get that acquisition program dialed in. And I think you said to our guys too, ideally if you can show that you could use paid traffic, that can be
Oh,
quite
it's way
beneficial
better.
too.
Yeah, yeah. And so yes, so like I 100% agree with you. And this and I like what you just said also counts for the next point that I'm going to make.
Oh,
But
okay. I'm sorry.
no, it bleeds in, it blends in perfectly. So you having this acquisition system that's scalable
Yep.
helps you get clients signed that doesn't include you. So my buddy with the exceptional agency, part of why it's so exceptional is his acquisition funnel. It's all ads. He doesn't post any content, no organic content. He used to, like that used to be the way he did it, and it was a real grind. The moment he stopped doing that and focused on just building a really good marketing funnel, he
Awesome.
went from like low six-figure agency to now like multi-millionaire agency in just like 2.5 years, basically.
Wow,
So
that is
yeah,
cool, isn't
that's
it?
the
Yeah.
beauty of paid ads once you get it to work too.
Yep.
But yeah, so like that funnel, they would come in. He had a way to recoup the ad costs really quickly to allow him to scale up further because of the way he had broken down his service structure, basically. But he
Yep.
also had a sales team on the back end. So he's not even closing any of the leads. He would have a call center as well to act as his SDRs, which nowadays you just use AI basically, but this is a little bit pre-AI days. But yeah, so he had SDRs like qualifying and following up with all these leads. And then it would get to the actual closer that he hired that would actually close the deal. So it's not even him doing, like, he's not even part of the sales process. So that is
Yep.
great, right? Go back to being useless player. Then the second part, which is again, like what I'm about to say, work. You should do this on the when you're first starting out, but don't do this when you're trying to sell, which is having a personal brand. Like personal
Okay.
brands, they can be good. It's like helps you with the speed of trust. Like when you're starting out, like use
Yep.
everything you got, right?
Yep.
And this
Good point.
guy also had a personal brand. I helped him to try to like get out of that. Like he used to be in all the ads. Now I'm putting his COO in the ads, like his
Gotcha.
closers in the ads, like other people outside of him are in the ads, right? Like personal brands are great when you're starting out,
Starting.
very troublesome when you go to sell. So that that is the second
For a
thing.
big exit, let's yeah. Oh no,
Yes.
actually, you're right. Anything, yeah, yeah. So really good advice. Yeah, when you're starting out, personal brand is great. It makes it so much easier, but you'd need to transition away from that. So
Yeah.
that's what you gave him that advice. That's brilliant. That's really cool.
Yeah, so personal brands are kind of like on this interesting bell curve. Like when you first start out, it's incredibly useful because
Yep.
it builds that trust. But you reach a certain point as the business grows where it actually handicaps you to be able to grow faster. Because at the
Yep.
end of the day, you're only one person and you can't scale yourself
Yeah.
as easily. There's like ways around it, there's things you can do, right? But the problem when it comes to exit especially is if a buyer is looking at your business and it's like the Matt show all the time or the Greg show all the time. It's like,
Yep.
okay, is this business strong because of Matt and because of Greg, or is it strong on its
Yes,
own?
it is great.
Like that's the thing you need to like look at. I just did a massive I guess it's a little while ago. I just did a massive podcast, solo podcast because I had a guest cancel on me about why I think personal brands suck. And I used the story of Alex Hormozy throughout the entire thing because
Yep.
Alex Hormozy, like people would say, like, oh, what? But he has a massive personal brand, Greg.
Yeah.
Like, should he do that? Like, no, he actually did exactly what I'm saying. Like, he started with gym launch, personal brand. When he went to
True.
sell gym launch, he changed himself out of the ads. And now he's doing another personal brand. But the reason why he's doing that personal brand is speed of trust because he's trying to buy your business at a cheap deal,
Yeah.
right? So he needs to build a lot of shots. Like I told you on my podcast, I'm sending out about 500,000 emails a month right now to e-commerce
Yeah.
stores. You got to flip a lot of rocks, right?
Yep. Yep.
So that's what he's doing. He's flipping a lot of rocks. But I know what I'm saying is real because when I met him a few years ago, he had bought 8 companies and now he's probably up above 15, I'd imagine. How many companies do you know that he owns? Only School, probably. And he only
Yeah.
uses School because it feeds his deal flow. You don't know any other business he's bought. And he told me in person, like he doesn't use his personal brand, even though it would make a crazy amount of money, because he wants to make sure the business is strong, not because of him, but because of the business fundamentals. And that's what the buyers are going to be thinking about too. Like if I'm sure he's bought a landscaping company or something like that at this point, and he could like post that on Twitter, and you'll have people in like in Houston go and buy this like landscape
Yeah.
stone in Vegas just because they love Hormozy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, that's exactly why he doesn't do it.
Yeah.
It would skew everything, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay. So
those are the two big things, and then the third
yeah,
thing
what's the third thing?
is teams, systems, delegation. So like that whole
Okay.
part, like you need to have someone doing the fulfillment, you need to have someone doing the sales, someone who is the operations, and ideally like the CEO. You don't have to have a CEO position, but it's really, really nice if you do, because then it just
Okay.
fits like a glove with the buyer, right?
Yep. So building up that, so there's the three big areas, and yeah, that third one is the team, and the middle one was the start with yourself brand, which is basically everyone that listens to this podcast. That's where they all start out because it is so much easier. I think it's a really good point to reiterate. I just want to reiterate Greg's point there, guys. That anyone listening to this, you know, it is so easy, particularly digital agencies, just you being the main person. That's why I think, Greg, we get such great results with our clients so quickly. These guys are go-getters. If you're a natural go-getter and you listen to this podcast, a digital agency, honestly, it's a walk in the park at the moment. It is a really good business model. I shouldn't say that. I'm not allowed to guarantee anything, am I? But it is
This will heal your broken leg
yeah,
tomorrow
yeah,
if you start an agency.
yeah. But with that third one, outsourcing, right, and building a team, off privately, you and I, you shared something with me privately, which I think is worth, and I'd like you to share it with everyone. What you said to me about one of the clients that you're helping now to do it's going to be a significant exit. Are you allowed to say the number and why what he's done with outsourcing is quite unique? Because when we think of building team, hiring Filipino VAs and stuff, do you want to share with me, yeah, a
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
interesting that case study?
So I have a buddy. I was just speaking or presenting at a conference a few weeks ago, and he was there, so we caught up. And he has a pretty big agency, like probably like 5, 6 mil. It would be my guess, somewhere around there. But
Yep.
all he has a much more traditional style. Like all of his employees comes to his office in the city that he lives in Canada.
Mhm.
It's just like any normal 9 to 5 kind of job that you might be used to. Part of why you probably actually hit up Matt to learn how to get out of, right? So
Yeah.
like that's his business, right?
Yep.
He's helping people get into the 9 to 5 game. But
Okay.
yeah, yeah, so he just has a normal business, right? He doesn't outsource to the Philippines, to India, to Vietnam or wherever, right?
Yep.
And like every now and then he'll have like an ad hoc thing, but not necessarily. He's not necessarily going to the Philippines, or he's just like looking for who's best. So a lot of people they think like, okay, the only way to make a marketing agency work is if I hire like really cheap labor. And like, yeah, that is one way to make it work. You don't have to do that. It sometimes feels like you have to do that, but it's like, no, you can hire really talented people and pay them really well still. And often that works out better in the long
Yeah.
term. Because these people like there's a great book, I'm forgetting the name of it, about management. I read it when I was like relatively new to managing people, but one of the things he said is like when you hire an employee, like one of the best ways to make sure they stay productive is try to pay them above, like a little bit above
Yeah.
market average rate. And
Yep.
it's not because people are like super money motivated, like that wasn't his point. It's not that they're money hungry, but it's kind of like brushing your teeth. This is like hygiene, financial hygiene.
Yeah.
If you help them get enough money to brush their teeth, where they don't have to think about food, they don't have to think about their rent, all that kind
Yep.
of stuff because they're making enough money with you, that frees up so much of their mental bandwidth to do all the other stuff for your business, right? To
Yeah.
like think clear, be more innovative, like really care about the process and all this kind of stuff. Versus if you're
Cool.
paying someone very, very low, like and there's no shade on my Filipino friends. I have a lot of Filipino friends, but my VA friends, like, yeah, I work with like 6 different clients at once, like, because they're each only paying me like $4 an hour, right? So like,
Yeah.
why not? All that kind of stuff, right? So you don't always get the best potential for your agency when you go that way. And he's not the only guy I know like that. Like, I have another really good friend. He runs I think it's like four seven-figure agencies at this point. He's a bit of a wildcat.
Wow.
All of his people are also in a home office in Pennsylvania. And I know another guy
Okay.
that's
Very
in
local.
Massachusetts. Same thing. He in fact that guy he uses it in his marketing. It was 100% American made. I only hire Americans. He's like very proud about it, right?
That
So
is
there,
awesome.
the main point I'm making there is not to like don't not offshore. You definitely can. But there's multiple ways to do it. I have one friend, the way he does it, I think is really cool. So he does a mixture of like hiring local and offshore. So like his
Yeah.
sales guy will probably be like the local guy, right? And a lot
Yeah.
of his fulfillment team will be more offshore. But instead of like, let's say you could pay a developer in Eastern Europe like 2 grand, what would cost you 8 grand a month with a
Yep.
developer in America. He
Yeah.
pays that same developer in Eastern Europe like 4 or 5 grand. So
Ah.
then he takes that extra savings and pays his
And
sales guy like lives
um,
locally a little bit more too. So same process. Like I'm taking care of you, therefore they take care of you. And that's one
okay.
of the big things with agencies if you go to sell it. Like what is the main asset of an agency? It's really the talent, like the labor that you
Ooh,
got that is
that's
working the systems you built. That's the real asset value of an agency. So it's very, very important as you grow, you think about that type of stuff because it's actually very critical to be able to sell your business for a very high amount.
that is gold, Greg. That's really cool. So for our guys, going beyond the side hustle phase, say that 2 to 10 grand, go back and say that bit again. They should that should be that should be the part of their vision. It's not just setting the vision for. So two things. I'm actually this is really exciting. Two things I'm going to bring up that I'm now going to quote you on, Greg. Once you hit 30 grand, and you said this at our private thing, once you hit 30 grand, you're pretty much there. You got $1 million asset, right? So especially in a digital agency. But now to go to that next level to build a multi-million-dollar agency, you want to consciously really work on those systems, that third part of the
Yes.
puzzle. That's what you're seeing at the big end of town. That's what, as from Empire Flippers' point of view, from your point of view, you're seeing that's worked really well for those digital agency people that have thought that through, built the proper systems. That's equated directly into a much bigger business, but a much easier sale, and presumably a higher multiple.
Oh, absolutely. And so I'm assuming a lot of your community they started with affiliate sites. A lot of our community did
Yeah.
too. But
Yep.
as you build an agency, you can make it into kind of a lifestyle side hustle, or you can make it into like a true blue enterprise value. Like I have a friend with an agency probably worth like $20 million. I've been trying to convince him to sell that thing
Right.
for a long time. He
Yeah.
won't, but he has his like own family office because he's gotten so wealthy from this
Right.
business model, right?
So from a digital
Uh,
agency, yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, and he
But
doesn't want to sell it because it's making so much money. That
right.
is
He's
cool.
like, oh, keep trying, Greg, keep
Yeah.
trying. Like, I will. You know I will.
Yeah.
But but yeah, so like this is like a real business in the sense that it's not like a
Good.
training business. Like affiliate sites are real businesses too, but they're
Yep.
like easier to manage. So as you're building this business, there's more moving parts that you got to consider and
As
all
it
that.
Yeah, as it gets bigger. Whereas like you and I know, with say an affiliate website or business, as it scales, it's just a bigger version of when it was doing $1,000 a
Right,
month.
right.
And
Yeah,
it's not as complex. But that's
yeah.
good for me and you to let our guys know digital agencies will get more complex, but also they get way more valuable and they do tend to grow a
Way more
lot quicker.
value.
They
Yeah.
can be scaled. That's what we're observing, and even within our community, but also like friends that I know of with big agencies. Um, they are an amazing model, and I'm excited by the idea too that people can bolt them together. Have you seen many people doing that yet? Is that
Yeah. There's I've seen roll-ups, virtual roll-ups, bolt-ons. So like one of the really cool things about agents, so two things. I was accidentally rambling there, but I wanted to mention one of the another mistakes people make when they're growing an
oh
agency.
yes, yep,
And this is just true for every business, not just agencies, but it's a very common line as you get into building, quote unquote, real businesses. It's like, oh, I need to hire A players. Not true. And you don't need to hire A players. In fact, you should hire C players and make
yeah,
A player systems. So a C player in an A system will produce A results. A player with a F system will still produce A results, but your business is crazy reliant on that A player. When they leave, you're
Ooh.
screwed.
And when you
So,
come to sell,
like,
if they bail
yeah.
or anything, yeah.
Yeah, usually A players become your competitor. B players will stay with you for a long time too, but they're only going to produce A work or sorry, B work. But if you focus on the A system, because most employees are C level, like they're not passionate about what you're doing. They're just here to pay their bills basically, and hopefully it's a cool job, right? Like that's about the most emotional investment you can get from most employees. So if you really focus on the systems, so C players can produce A work, you'll never be at like a disadvantage in terms of your own talent pool. So that's one thing there. And then the
That is
second
super
thing,
cool, Greg. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah, Greg's controversial, contrarian point of
I
view,
no, I really like it because also it means you it's also killing two birds with one stone. It's going back to your previous point, which is because you're systemizing it so well, you've got a heaps more saleable asset down the
Oh,
track.
100%. Yeah, yeah.
This is really cool. Okay,
Uh,
and sorry, I interrupted. What was the next bit?
I'm trying to remember what I
Yeah.
wanted to say. It was related to your last question, though.
Roll-ups.
Roll-ups. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the other really cool thing because it's a real business,
Yep.
quote unquote real business, is you can use your all the skills that like they would learn from you, right, Matt,
Yep.
to go and grow really quickly. Like let's say you're very good at SEO or very good at Facebook ads. You're like a superstar. You're a killer when it comes to fulfillment, but you suck at sales. Like, okay, let's go find an agency that sucks at fulfillment, which isn't that hard because most of them aren't very good. They're not
Yeah.
very good in terms of their own skills. So, but they're
Perfect.
really good at selling, right? Like, hey, let's join forces. You can probably acquire it like for a 1.5 to 2.5x. Now you got a sales team you can install right away that
Love
already
it.
knows what they're doing, right? You can go and buy, say, Facebook groups or associations in your target niche. Like, let's say you're doing like, I don't know, dog walkers. You buy a dog walker association or club or whatever. Now you got leads, right? So you can use all the M&A tricks at every level of your business, whether it's sales, marketing, lead generation. Like you need
Yeah.
operational systems. You can buy like there's people out there who have whole companies about project management, like how to set up Monday and Notion correctly. Some of them are worth quite a lot, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can get into that kind of business, and usually they have MRR, so you can do
Yep.
all sorts of different like things to go and acquire the stuff. And unlike an affiliate site, which is doesn't really have a lot of financing available, like agencies start having a little bit more because they have contracts typically, or I shouldn't say typically, but often.
True.
You can
Yep.
finance those contracts. You can finance accounts receivable. There, you can factor the AR. So there's like all sorts of like interesting, like creative ways you can get into agencies, like acquiring people that have what you have, and you can do carve out so you don't have to buy their whole agency, right? To really grow dramatically if you want to do the inorganic growth. But there's plenty of ways to grow organic as well. For your audience that doesn't know, inorganic is the private equity term for growing through acquisitions.
Yeah, yeah, and it is a really I'm gonna use it's a crude term to use, but it's a really sexy strategy. It really does work well. All my Liz and my personal mentors, like friends of ours, who that's how they made their money by just growing by acquisitions, and that's the
Ah,
next level of the
it's the
game. And
fastest way to do it if you know how to play the game.
yeah, and I think, Greg, this is so exciting to what I think the big take home point here, and I want to say a big thank you for what you've shared today. I'm sure our listeners will agree with me. Look at your enthusiasm here. Digital agencies are real businesses. How did you word it? Like they're potentially bigger than what you realize. Like these are not just simple little side hustles anymore. And the big buyers are coming in wanting to buy them for all the reasons that you've talked about today. But I just love how you've said this can turn into like your friend with the family office who doesn't want to sell because he's doing so
I,
well. You know, he's turned it into something very
I hit
significant.
him up every 3 months. Are you ready?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
isn't gonna happen.
yeah. Wow. Well, but good on him because he's creating so much cash flow. You know, he's able to create a family office. So if you're listening to this at this point, like Greg's friend, maybe it's not about doing a big exit. Maybe it's just about creating a multi-million-dollar business. Because, like you said, Greg, if you're focused on that, systemizing this as it starts to grow, and you're getting serious about it, remember, this is freeing up your life a bit as well. Like, so, Greg, that we'll finish on this final point. I'm going to bring it back to the client that you're helping right now. You mentioned a year or two before he met you, He's working his butt out. Nothing wrong with that when you're making heaps of money. This is it's a multi-million-dollar digital agency. But what should someone do? Loaded question for you, Greg. What should someone do if they are seriously thinking about a seven-figure exit somewhere down the track? At what point should they speak to someone like yourself, or particularly you?
Yeah, I say once you are hitting around, if you want to do a seven-figure exit, I would recommend hitting up a broker like me, like probably when you're around 15K a month on average for like 6 months. Like, but at that point, your timeline is probably, I don't know, 18, 20 months away from an exit potentially. And I
Perfect.
was telling Matt, like, a lot of sellers make the mistake of like, yeah, I'll talk to you when I'm ready to sell. But like, dude, it's too late. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing like if you want to sell next week by the time you talk to me, like there's nothing I can do to help you with your evaluations. It is what it is, right? But if
Yeah.
you come to me earlier, like say t at least 12 months in advance, like okay, there's things we can do now to like that you should be doing over these next few months before you come back to me that can seriously increase your valuation, right? Like for example, my buddy, he's a young guy a little bit inexperienced, but incredibly ninja at like what he's built is just like a lot of like business fundamentals he doesn't know because he's young, right? So he had none of
Yeah.
his people on auto pay. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like you're spending like
Oh,
all this
okay.
time on just like useless admin work. Like put everyone on auto pay. He did like, whoa, like, this free up so much. Like, yes. So there's all like you think that's common sense, but when you're in the grind, there's
Yep.
so much common sense stuff you just don't do because like you're in the grind, right? So you should come to someone at least 12 months before you want to sell if you want to do a seven-figure, hopefully a multiple seven-figure exit.
Yeah.
That's enough time for us to like work through that and make sure you're positioned
and
correctly.
and give them some advice. And Greg, how exciting is it when you think about it? Something you just said, if you're already hitting 15K, we got a bunch of clients that are doing that, by the way. You guys know who you are. Yeah, and then you just casually said, so in about 18 months, you could sell that for $1 million. So those of you that are doing 15K a month is a trick of the mind, but basically in 18 months' time, you could be a millionaire. So just food for thought for those of you that would prefer to invest in real estate. I'm not giving any financial advice, just saying, what I prefer, and I'm pretty sure Greg would agree with me as well. But
Uh,
just saying, but that's pretty cool, isn't it? When you do
it
15K
is.
in about 18 months' time, you're going to be a millionaire. So that's pretty cool for any young
Yeah.
entrepreneurs as well who are finding it a hassle to get into real estate. Maybe any parents that are listening to this, just consider what Greg just said there. And then to finish, Greg, the, you that speaking to a broker like you, are you happy for our listeners to reach out and chat to you if they're at that level and they do want to do that? Like, can they contact Empire Flippers and speak to you yourself? I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit there, but anyone that's listened to this is going to want to, I would imagine, have a chat to you. How does all that
Yeah.
work?
Yeah. Just shoot me an email, greg@empireflippers.com. Please don't send me any guest post links though. I get hit up so often. Like I had a email about like a faceless YouTube channel we sold for 800K, and this person were like, "What? Give me a price for my website." Like, what do you mean? Like, you want like, do you have a YouTube channel? And it's like, "Thank you for responding." It's like a 1,000 word email telling me about how I should buy his guest post. Like, I was trying to help you, dude. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm always happy to help if I can. If I'm like sometimes I'm too busy to do a call with everyone, but I'm happy to help via email.
Yep.
If you're
Cool.
closer to an exit, I can also connect you with the right like M&A advisor on our team as well that's specific for your needs and size. So like we help people exit at all sizes of businesses and all types of businesses, right? Not just agencies, like I just mentioned a faceless YouTube channel we sold, right?
Yep.
So always happy to help if I can.
Awesome. So thank you so much for that, Greg. And yeah, big thank you for sharing your knowledge here today. There's a lot of, I think there's some really cool lessons for our clients there with what you shared today. And it's very exciting to hear just how, serious digital agencies are. They're not just a simple little side hustle where you start, can helps you transition out of your career. It goes way beyond that. If you want to become a multimillionaire through it, maybe digital agencies is an easier pathway than maybe what you thought about, say, an hour or so ago. So who knows?
But the
So
beautiful thing, it can be all those things. It could be whichever level you
what?
want to stop at, right? So you
Yeah.
can take it all the way to the moon, but you don't have to. You can live it as a lifestyle business. I have friends like that as well. So
Yep. Yeah, well, and I do want to reiterate that as well. You can, yes, thank you for reminding me of that. You can very
Yeah.
much
It's not like
have.
starting like what you were doing buying factories. Like I gotta go to the moon.
Yeah, yeah. Well, see, that's what I'm
That's the only
focused on.
way.
I'm all about the give me the show me the
Yeah,
strategy to the
yeah.
seven-figure deals because that's the era I grew up in. But a lot of our listeners, and I should acknowledge that a lot of our younger listeners in particular these days are more after the lifestyle business, and I think digital agencies are perfect for that as well, even at a smaller level. But for those of you that want to build it into a nice lifestyle business, again, the advice is the same. Still systemize it because it gives you the lifestyle, and then you can sell it still for a big amount down the track as well if it's well systemized. So, Greg, awesome stuff that we covered there today. Thank you so much, and can't wait to get you back on the Digital Investors for the next exciting installment of the. So, thank you for coming along today.